Recorded. All right, everybody, welcome so much. I'm Stacy Dunham with Nutrition Jobs, and today we're going to talk about how to market yourself as a dietitian for opportunity. And you might be thinking, well, like really, who needs to be marketing themselves if you're not an entrepreneur, if you're in a different area of dietetics? Just depends on what area you're practicing in. Do you really need to market yourself? If you're working as a clinical dietitian, if you're working as somebody who's working for somebody else already, do you really need to market yourself? And I'm going to answer that, but I'm going to show you a few people who are dietitians practicing who have very unique jobs and will have a lot of different reasons for why they should market themselves. So this is Emily. Emily Kyle is a cannabis dietitian, and obviously she needs to market herself. This is her Instagram profile, but do you think, she's an entrepreneur? Of course she needs to market herself, her business. Sarah Kozik, she is a blogger, nutrition blogger. She's one of my writers. She's fantastic, but she runs her own business. She's not working for a company. She's not working for somebody else. So obviously she would be in the business of marketing herself and her services. And of course, Katie Dodd from the Dietitian Side Hustle. Again, this is her Instagram profile. I chose these because these are really great ways to profile different dietitians and different types of jobs that they have. So Katie's unique in that she had a job working at the VA. So she was employed by somebody and started her side business of showing other people how to have a side hustle, blogging specifically. So that makes sense that she would be marketing for those types of services. But what I want to also show is that if you're a dietitian working in clinical nutrition, maybe you're working with tube feedings, that you can market yourself to other people, showing that you are an expert in another area or an expertise in an area that is for a company, working for a company and showing how to do that. This is the reimbursement dietitian, also showing how when you're working in private practice, working in an outpatient clinic in a hospital or in a medical unit where you're being paid by somebody else, that you're not an entrepreneur, not making your own money. These are all ways that you can market yourself. And then clinical dietitian, working in a hospital situation where you want to be able to market your services. So yes, you can market yourself whether or not you have your own side business or an entrepreneurial venture that you can call your own. So I would love to hear in the chat if there are people who are running their own business, or if you're working for yourself, or if you are working sort of as a side hustle and a regular traditional job where somebody else is employing you. I would love to see what everyone is up to. But the idea is that no matter what type of job you have, what type of job you're seeking, that we should all be in the business of marketing ourselves and marketing who we are, what our expertise is, what our unique skills are, and how we are different. Even if we're all providing the same service, there's something unique about each one of us showing up as a dietitian. Again, whether you're a clinical dietitian, outpatient dietitian, entrepreneur, we're all going, there's a lot of us out there doing the same type of work, but how we're going to meet with our clients, meet with our employer, meet with our coworkers, meet with other people within the company that we work at. So maybe another nurse or a physician, respiratory therapist, we're all going to show up uniquely, and how we show up and what special skills we have are unique to us. And we need to tell other people what those special skills are. So that's sort of what I want to make sure that we all know, that we're all here to market our services. This is all about creating opportunity. I'm going to highlight a lot of the stuff for LinkedIn, like how we can highlight our opportunity on LinkedIn, but it doesn't have to be just for that. This can go for the other types of social media platforms that are out there that we can advertise our services. So one of the main reasons that you can market yourself as a dietitian for your specialty service is by having collaborations with other dietitians. This can help you show up in a way that can show other people what you can do and why you're a great person to be able to do that. So I always think it's so important that when you work with another dietitian, or you work with somebody else, maybe it's not a dietitian, maybe it is that respiratory therapist or physical therapist, maybe you're going to go in and do a presentation together, and having their audience plus your audience can come together and have just a greater reach into other people that you haven't normally connected with. I love collaborations. I think I always learn from the person that I'm collaborating with, and then I get to work with their community, their market. And same is true on the converse. If I'm working with a dietitian, if I bring in a guest speaker for our Wednesday LinkedIn Live events, then I can connect with a lot of different people and bring in a guest and be able to show another area of expertise that can benefit my own community. So collaborations work both ways, but it really helps get your services, your expertise, your signature services. It just gives that more traffic. So collaborations is one really great way to market yourself. Another way and reason why you'd want to market yourself as a dietitian is to increase your authority and also your visibility. And so I say authority because let's say you are working as a tube feeding dietitian in a hospital, you're an enteral or parenteral nutrition support expert, whether it's on a medical surgical floor or in the ICU or the NICU. What if you've got a unique ability to give presentations on unique ways of doing tube feedings at home, how to translate taking the clinical work to the home environment, whether it's pediatrics or adults, whatever it might be. If people don't know that you do that, then you wouldn't have a market for it. So being able to advertise that and to showcase that service just by saying something as simple as a speaker on nutrition support, virtual speaker, that you've done presentations for local associations or other types of home health agencies specific to nutrition support, then that is going to give you more visibility. Having your services listed on your LinkedIn profile just shows people what you're good at and what you can do and how you want to attract more attention, visibility, promotion. How we market ourselves can land in a lot of different ways. I think it also gives you authority in that area. If you are known to be really good at lactation consulting, for example, but it's not on your LinkedIn profile, it's not on your business, your website, or other platforms that you show up as a professional, then people will just not know or may not think that you have the authority or the strength, or maybe even the interest in talking about different types of services that you can provide. So that's another great way. It's just showcasing your services increases your visibility and your authority. And then last, it attracts opportunity. When you show up and tell people what it is that you're really good at, what your secret sauce is, what your amazing signature services are, or an ebook that you've created. Again, even if you're just working for another company, this can attract opportunity. You may love your job now. It may be your dream job. You may want to continue with this forever in your mind. But what if you got this amazing opportunity to show up and to have a greater audience, to have a bigger promotion, to make more money, to have better hours, to have maybe fewer hours with the same amount of money? There's always opportunity to be had. The world shifts, jobs change, the market changes, consumers have a different idea of what they want. And by providing those services for them, we can just show up, showing what we can do, what we're good at. That can attract opportunity. So I always think it's important to, in fact, I was just working with a dietitian this past week, and she had a really lovely job that she loved. And a job came her way because she had advertised on her LinkedIn profile that she was good at consumer label. That was her expertise. And she was really good at the recipe development, the product placement in terms of talking about the nutrient distribution on a food item. And she was really good with working with companies and with food. So, these opportunities just come up, but if you don't explain or you don't show on your LinkedIn profile or your Facebook profile or wherever it might be, Instagram as well, then people just don't know. So this is all great ways to attract opportunity. And so And this goes to the idea of marketing yourself. Again, whether you're working for yourself or you're working for another company, showing and telling your area of expertise, your signature achievements, your special services, and your unique offerings really attracts opportunity. All right, so how do we actually do this? So I'm going to walk through a couple ways. Here, I've got a lot more in my blog article that lists a bunch of different ways that you can market yourself. And I'll use LinkedIn profile for a lot of this because I think this is a great way to showcase your services. But this again can go for your website. It can go on your Instagram profile. You can duplicate all of that same information, Twitter, wherever you want to show up for your business. And it can be multiple different places. TikTok, of course, there's a lot of different places. So the number one place, let's use LinkedIn, for example, because I want to highlight your LinkedIn headline and making sure in your headline that it has those keywords or keyword phrases within your profile. A headline is a really great place to showcase this. So if you are interested in doing virtual presentations, virtual speaking, there's so many opportunities that can come your way, then make sure you include that phrase, that keyword actually in the headline itself. That can go in your bio for your Instagram as well. You can show people what it is that you're able to do. So if you're a nutrition writer, you want to include that word in there as well. So let me show you some examples. Well, I'm going to start off with my profile. I have right in there that I'm a resume and career coach and a virtual speaker. So some of it describes what I can do, sort of how I can show up for you or what services I can offer. Some of it just sort of describes who I am. I'm a registered dietitian and what companies I have where I show up as a registered dietitian. So showing in my profile that I am a virtual speaker garners me a ton of speaking presentation offers all the time because it shows up on my profile. So I actually, as I'm saying this, I realized I only have it on my LinkedIn profile. I should add it over to my Instagram. I should add it to a few other profiles and to see if that impacts the opportunities that come my way. Another great example is Gabby McPherson. She has a really beautiful LinkedIn profile. You can check hers out too. And that's the nice thing about LinkedIn profiles, right? Like you can look at everybody's and get some idea, some inspiration about how other people will show up. So she is a writer, content writer, and she does write about nutrition and wellness. And that's what she says right here in her headline. So a health writer, SEO blog writer. So the term SEO is really important if you're trying to work with other companies and they want to make sure that the work that you do can attract people to their website. A content writer, she's a registered dietitian. So she shows you exactly what it is that she does. So that's just marketing herself. It's very simple, but it is effective. It's how people are searching, and that's how she's going to show up that way. And I was going to say over here, on her banner, I love how she puts this on her banner. It just says exactly what she does and how she can be of service to you as a consumer, as someone who's going to employ her. All right, another way that you can market yourself, and this is on LinkedIn, and this is also on other social platforms, and that is to comment and participate in other people's social media. That is a really great way to get your name out there, whether it's your competitor and you're saying something positive about the work that they're doing, or whether it's another consumer and chiming in and showing up there, or just somebody who's a neutral person. And so here's an example. And why I like to highlight this for LinkedIn is because when you do comment on somebody else's post, you want to comment professionally and with some interesting insight. But as you can see, when you comment, your headline shows up. The first line, I forget how many characters it is, but it's about the first line of your LinkedIn profile. You can see on other people's posts, like how you show up, how many characters it is. So that very first section is very important. Now, as I'm saying this, I should move my virtual speaker over to the front of my profile so that it shows up over there as well. But so you can see that this is a great way to subtly market yourself, to tell people what your services are and how you can benefit other people. So she's commenting on someone else's post. Actually, she's sharing someone else's information, which is great. That's another great way to sort of collaborate on a much smaller scale, but also to promote other dietitians or other health professionals, and also to get your name out there. So she is talking about this person's post, and in doing so, she can lift that person up, and it also shows her headline. And then after we've talked about commenting and participating, I think what's really important is to have some sort of how to work with you, or how to collaborate with you, how to connect with you, what's called a call to action. And I always thought this was just specifically if you're trying to sell a course, or you're trying to sell a book or something like that. But this can be a lot of different ways, like how to meet with me to employ me to give a virtual presentation on LinkedIn profiles, for example. I'm going to show you someone else's. So this is Susan Mitchell's website, or her LinkedIn profile, and she's just done a beautiful job most recently. And you can see how to work with her. So she says, like, access the powerful free resources on the website, and you can see later on her post, like, how to find her website. So she specifically tells you how she wants to connect with you and what to do when you're there. So it's a call to action. This is how to engage, not just by saying hello, or making it difficult for the user to connect with her. She says exactly what it is to do. And I think I've got another one. Yeah. So Heather Neal from Dietitian headquarters, she has twice a year, she has an RD entrepreneur symposium, and she brings together a bunch of different dietitians. I'm one of the speakers. This upcoming one in a few weeks, the enrollment will open for that. But you can see on her Instagram profile, she says exactly what to do. She says exactly how to get to where she wants you to go, or how she wants to work with you. She's an example of someone who does work for herself, so she does have specific things. But if you are somebody who has a product, or has an ebook, or has something that you want to share with somebody, that is a great way to do that. Just tell people exactly how to find you, how to connect with you, and how to engage with you, or how to purchase from you. Your whole idea with LinkedIn is to be able to increase your visibility and to attract and harvest opportunity. And this again goes for Twitter, Facebook, for all, a variety of different resources for social media platforms. So there was a question in the chat, and I want to take that on now. So the question was, so if you've got, let me read this one again. If you have a full-time job, is it seen as a conflict of interest if you are advertising your other services? All right, no. So, that's a really great question. So it's sort of the question of, if you're working full-time, are you allowed to have a side business or a side hustle? And if that is something you want to just check in and make sure that you're very transparent with your manager, with your employer, to make sure that they know that. So let's say you are working as a tube feeding dietitian, and you're working in maybe in pediatrics. You also have a side business where you help people who have gone home with tube feeding recipes, if people want to do it themselves, and how to do it safely and nutritiously, or how to augment their existing protocol for tube feeding, how you want to augment that to participate with the rest of the family with tube feeding recipes, and safely how to do that. So you just want to check in with your employer and let them know that you have this side business, and that you've got your liability insurance covered, and maybe you have just an ebook that you provide, so that you can show them that you're doing that. But that is usually totally fine, especially if there's no conflict of impeding on business. So home health is usually not in competition with inpatient, so it shouldn't be a problem. Each case is of course separate, and I'm not an attorney, of course, but that's how you can do that. And then on your profiles, you will highlight that you have information about how people can transition from an inpatient setting to an outpatient setting at home safely and nutritiously, and in a way that's social and engaging with tube feeding at home, and how to do that safely. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways of doing that. Again, it's all about marketing who you are, what your special services are, even if you have a full-time job. Okay, so that's sort of the basic of what I've got in there as well. I've got, as you know, I've got lots of courses and workshops. I've got the resume essentials. We've got LinkedIn profile. We've got a new course on prep and confidence for job interviewing, which has been really popular. And then of course, we always have the resume templates as Canva downloads. So we've got lots of ones there for you. And we have our monthly instant makeover workshops where we talk about resumes and LinkedIn profiles together as a group. If you haven't already done this, please download the LinkedIn profile checklist. It's on my Instagram bio. It's also on my website. Scroll to the right-hand side or to the bottom, and you'll find the checklist over there. Let me see if there's any other questions in the chat. Thank you for that. Okay, good. Oh, okay. Yeah. So somebody had a question about a recommendation, sort of unrelated. Actually, I'm going to actually say that this question is related. So the question is about how to get recommendations on your LinkedIn profile. And I'm going to say there's a couple different ideas, and this sort of goes back up to, let me bring us back up to, how to sort of participate on, let's say on LinkedIn. Getting recommendations is a great way to market your services, because that really shows where you've been successful before and in what area. So if you did a special project with somebody, I'm going to go back to the tube fitting example. If you did a special project with another, maybe a speech therapist, the two of you did a presentation together, that person, you can ask that person to give you a recommendation on LinkedIn related to your work together, your presentation that you did together. Maybe you guys did a workshop together for participants, for patients, or for maybe other dietitians or other speech therapists. That could be a great way to get a recommendation so that you can show some authority and expertise in an area that other people might want to collaborate with you on as well, that you might be able to get another speaking gig on it, or doing a workshop together in the hospital or outside the hospital, whatever it might be. This is also a great way, like if you have your own business, getting a testimonial sometimes is tricky in some states, and there are some limits on how you can get testimonials. So by having a recommendation on your LinkedIn profile, that's a great way to get a standalone testimonial on your profile. And you can share that out onto other social media. Of course, you can share it within your own network on LinkedIn. But if you're looking at Instagram, for example, you can take a screenshot and just show that recommendation. It's social proof of your expertise in an area. So I'm glad you brought up that question. A person asked anonymously, but I'm glad you brought up that question, because that really does speak to the idea of marketing yourself and how you can showcase some of your services. Again, even if you're working in a full-time job, of course, we always think of marketing when you're an entrepreneur, and that's an ongoing daily process. But being able to showcase your services as a dietitian in your full-time job is also just as important as well. Let me see if there's any more questions. I'm going to go over. So I've got a blog article on this topic. You can find it on Nutrition Jobs. And I think it's called Marketing Your, if you type in Nutrition Jobs and Marketing Yourself, I think it'll pop up. There was one other section, I think, I think that might have been it, actually. So those are just what I've got for you today. If you have any more questions, feel free to email me directly, connect with me on LinkedIn. Let me go back down to the very bottom. If you've come on here through LinkedIn, then you know how to follow me. If you're new to my services and you found me on YouTube, head over to Instagram or over to LinkedIn, and you can connect with me over there as well. And we can chat either by commenting, and that's a great way to get your name out there, by commenting, or just by direct messaging. That's a great way to do it too. If there's anything else I can help you guys, I would be delighted to, but I think that's it for now. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll look forward to our next presentation next week. Okay, bye for now, everyone.